The Oilers make news again today. They are signing Mikko Koskinen, 3-year extension. He gets $4.5 million a year starting next season. Now, my only issue with it is this. Koskinen's numbers are okay. He's got a 9/11 save percentage. He's been good at points this year. He's been middle of the road, and for the most part, he's a middle of the road style goaltender. Are the Oilers trying to build to a contender spot or not is the question I'm asking. And I know people don't like Chiarelli, and there are reasons when you look at this to say, when you look at their cap space, so we're looking at next year. Now, according to Cap Friendly, under a $79.5 million cap, they have $5.8 million in cap space. Now, we know that's going up. Let's just say it goes to $83 million. That'd be about $9 million in cap space for next year. And when you look at it, so they've got Talbot coming off the books. Petrovic comes off the books as well. Clefbaum's still there, another $4 million. Of course, Sekera has 2 more years left after this one at $5.5 million. He's on long-term injured reserve. Gravel as UFA this summer. Jones, another year on his entry level. Benning, Manning, Nurse are all back next year. Russell and Larson, they're already spending $16.2 million on their blue line next season. So the only one coming out of there is Gravel, which means they've already got 6 defensemen signed up for next year. Their forward group, a little trickier. Alex Chason's at $650,000 if they're going to keep him. He's a UFA and he's going to want more. Are you going to end up overpaying because of that 17 goals that he has? That's the tricky part, is paying a guy for his career year. Jujhar Khaira, $675,000. He's a RFA this summer. He's not going to get a huge raise. Ratty's on the list here. Of course, we know Ratty's going down. Spooner, $3.1 million next year. Some of that's going to get taken off the books, of course, with him getting sent to the minors. Whether or not he comes back next year, who knows? Nugent Hopkins has 2 more years left at $6 million. Cassian, 1 more year at $1.95. Brodziak, another year at $1.15. Puljujarvi, of course, is RFA this summer. And there's a lot of rumors about whether or not he's going to stick around. Lucic, of course, has 4 more years at $6 million. And then there's Draisaitl and McDavid, who are making a combined $21 million. There's a no movement clause in there with Lucic. No movement clause as well with Chris Russell. And a no movement clause for he can't be demoted. No movement clause for Koskinen. So they're not gonna send Koskinen to the minors anyways. So the interesting thing with Edmonton is that they've kind of got most of their roster signed to come back next year, which is not necessarily a good thing. They're sitting outside of a playoff spot. I don't know how much upward movement we're going to see from them this year. There's a lot of young guys who may step into the roster, and there's some like Yamamoto that we're waiting to see what exactly he's going to be. What do they get back for Puljujarvi? But where I find it interesting with Chiarelli is I'm asking myself this question now: what is he trying to build? What is the plan? When I look at these trades that take place, and I look at a signing like Koskinen today, I find myself saying, what is the plan? Do I look at Mikko Koskinen and see a goaltender that would go into a playoff series and steal a series or two? Well, he's already 30 years of age, and I don't see a goaltender who's going to be able to do that. I think he's an okay middle of the road. He's that goaltender your team will bring in for a couple of years while you're building up. But when you actually want to contend and win something, I don't know that Koskinen's the guy. And it's not easy to add a defenseman. It is not easy to add a starting goaltender. When you're looking in those two areas, and that's kind of where Edmonton's looking, it can be difficult. I would think if Puljujarvi gets traded, it would be for a blue liner. But which one? I already said they've got 6 signed for next year, $16 million between them. So which one of them goes? Do they trade out Manning that soon after you get him? I don't think so. So it's going to be a very, very interesting. And I mean, technically, there's 7, 8 signed if you include. That list wouldn't have included Clefbaum because he's on IR and long-term injured reserve as Sekera. So they've got a lot of guys signed. It's going to be very interesting. And now there's reports too on whether or not Chiarelli might be looking at unemployment this summer. Very, very interesting because, again, when we see a Koskinen signing in a vacuum, we can look at that and go, yeah, that's fine. That makes sense. That's okay. But when you look at it in terms of what the team's doing and where the team's headed and the moves that have been made by the general manager to this point, it's really, really bewildering. It's sort of like how we can look at the Eberle deal turning into Strome, turning into Spooner, who's now on waivers, or Griffin Reinhart being brought in for a first rounder that turned into Barzal. These are problems because you look at the Oilers and you say, geez, if they drafted Barzal, if they had held on to Hall and Eberle, sure, they wouldn't have Adam Larson, but would they be in a better position? And the answer is, yeah, probably. Would they have cap problems? Absolutely. But would the Oilers be a better team with those guys I just mentioned? Yeah. And Barzal right now would still be on an entry-level contract. And he would give them that depth down the middle they've kind of been looking for. They wouldn't need Draisaitl to go and play second-line center so that Nugent-Hopkins can play third, which is ideally where you want them playing. No. You could have Draisaitl on the wing with McDavid. You could have Barzal second-line center, Nugent-Hopkins third-line center, and you're set. So, it's one of those things where the question I've been asking myself today a lot and looking through a lot of things Oiler-related is, if you don't make any moves at all, are you better off than anything Chiarelli's done to this date? Do you take all of Chiarelli's moves and go, geez, if they go back 3 years and they don't make any moves, are they better off? So basically, right from the moment they draft McDavid, you just leave it alone. You let them play through it, you let them figure it out. Are they a better team? And I would say probably yes. Probably yes. That's probably the case. But I would be interested to know what you guys think in the comment section below about the Koskinen signing. Does Talbot get traded out before the deadline? Did they just run out his contract? Who's going to ask for Talbot with his current statistics and the money? Do they have to eat half of that salary for the rest of the year to get a team to take him? It's going to be a very interesting run up to the trade deadline for Edmonton. And I feel bad for Oiler fans because, again, if they didn't have a general manager to make trades for the last few years, would they be in a better position? And there are a lot of people who would say, yeah, probably, yeah. So let me know your thoughts as always. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. I'll talk to you again soon.